let's do that and that. All right, everyone. So I want to share with you the app I use to track my calories and my macros. This is Chronometer, and I like this app because it's got a really good food library. The downside is it has a lot of uh, it'll count some carbs. If I go and hide over here, you can see here that even though the carbs, the legit carbs on this list are certainly spinach. You wouldn't think about bacon having some carbs. Depending upon the curing process, you're going to have a little bit of sugar. I don't have a sugared bacon, but there may be a little bit. It's mostly salt for what I get. And certainly you wouldn't think of eggs having carbs, but maybe there's a little bit of glycogen in there. And then a little bit in the dressings for the wings that I had left over from last night. BP coffee, don't ask. I think it's fiber from the coffee grind since I do a French press. Any case, so I like the app. I use it pretty regularly, and it helps me to really dial in my carbs. Now, I've been working with Robert Sykes at Keto Savage for the past month to dial in my carbs. And one of the things, what we have me at right now is we've got me at 120 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs, and right now 165 grams of fat. And it's pretty easy to dial in your proteins and dial in your foods. So you can hit these things on the nose. But I want to share my oops moment that I had today. Every time I go to Wingstop, I have just a little bit too much of something. And today was one of those days. Again, it was leftovers. I figured out what I could do for yesterday. And why don't we take a look at yesterday's real quick. So this was what I did. I did an OMAD yesterday. I had my BP coffee in the morning, or my keto coffee in the morning. And then I got some wings, some hot wings, some Louisiana rub wings, a cup of blue cheese dressing from theirs. And then what I did to sort of get my fats up, because there's just not enough fat in what we've got here. You start having chicken in general, you're not going to get enough fat. So what did I do? I added a tablespoon of MCTs to the mix, and then I had a little bit of keto cheesecake left over from my birthday last weekend. And as you can see here, I'm a little bit over. That's really, the last of that is coming from that blue cheese dressing. And then, carbs, again, a little bit over, but doing, pretty close there. And then my fats, I'm right there at 166. So I'm pretty much dialed in. And as a result, when I took my blood glucose and my ketone reading this morning, I was sitting at 5 and a something or other, 5.1. It was low. Maybe it was 5.0. Let's see if I can pause. Sorry, I got cut off in the middle of that. So my ketones for this morning were 3.2, and my blood sugar was at 5.1. Probably a little dehydrated, especially after that meal. Not my ideal day. Want to see an ideal day? This is my ideal day. I like to have a couple keto coffees. I do about a little bit of MCTs. I like to have a couple of raw eggs. Kerrygold's my extra. We're probably taking the keto cheesecake out of the mix here this week. And then I had some round steak, and I had a pork chop for lunch. Actually, a better perfect day would be, this is a more typical day of my eating. And if you've ever hopped over to SugarDC on Instagram, which is my personal Instagram, then you can see that. See what the salad that I typically do, the bacon and spinach salad. But in any case, let's take a look at yesterday. So to wrap up, nailed it on the wings as far as hitting the 120 for protein. A little bit extra with the blue cheese dressing. Within 5 grams, you're going to be okay. I'm just a little bit over on my fats. Again, within 5 grams, you're going to be okay. Just a little bit over on carbs. Arguably, how much carb did I really eat yesterday? I really didn't have any vegetable. So good numbers. The problem is today I had 4 wings left over from the 20 that I bought last night, and then I had my salad, which is my spinach, my bacon, my egg, a couple of eggs, and I throw a tablespoon of MCTs on there. And then I threw in a tablespoon of MCTs onto my blue cheese cup, which I forgot to put down here. So let's add that Wingstop blue cheese dressing. I did 1 cup. Folks, let's take a look at where I am. This is my fat allocation for the day, and I'm at 161 grams already. And yet I have 50 grams of protein to go. Now this makes it difficult because dinner is typically another 2 eggs, and I just do the raw egg calculation here. So if I did my normal dinner, and I was going to do ground beef tonight. I'm just pretty simple about that. Where is my grass-fed ground beef? It's here somewhere. Beef, grass-fed, ground raw. And normally I will do about, and I like to do it in grams for whatever reason, but I was going to do 195. Now, that hits me right off of my spot. And the reason I was going to do 195 was because I had forgotten about that cup of blue cheese. And look at that! Look at that! Look how beautiful those macros are. I would have hit 120 on the nose, 165 on the nose. But we already know, and this is the problem, I've already had the blue cheese dressing. I ate the whole cup. In fact, I ate the blue cheese chunks at the bottom. So, you know what this means? We have to recalculate. We have to reformulate. I haven't cooked the eggs or the beef yet tonight. So this goes bye-bye. This goes bye-bye. Because if I just added, even if I just added the ground beef, let's take a look at that ground beef again. To get to my macros, even if I had it set at 180 grams, which is, about 4 or 5 ounces. I can't do the math. I'm still not there, but I'm way over on my protein or on my fats. This is a problem because we're trying to figure out what my upper limit of protein is, and we're really close. We're not sure if it's much more than 120, but we're certainly wanting to be a little bit lower on the body or on the fats, so I can continue to keep my overall calories down. So this clearly is not going to work because I'm 20 grams over on fats. So no go. Now I had some round left over. And if I was to add beef round steak, so even if I didn't eat the fat, even if I had a really lean cut, to get that 50 grams, we're talking what, about 6 ounces here? And that still pushes my fat calories a little bit high. The only problem is I think I finished off all of the round that I had left over. So that doesn't do me any good when I can't find it. Delete that one out. But thankfully, I just got a new quarter cow. So I have a little bit of options and I've got some stuff. And what do I have? I have sirloin. And even if I'm going to eat the fat, it's not going to be a whole lot. So I'm going to try my best not to eat any fat tonight off of that sirloin. And believe me, that's hard because that's some of the best stuff in my mind. So in order for me to hit that macro and hit my numbers, and I've got to pull it up because I've calculated it and then I deleted them off so I could go over this with you all. But one of the things, if I can find my spot here. There it is. So in order for me to hit my macros as close as possible, we're going to do 160 grams of sirloin steak, which is now thawing. And look at that, 120, 168. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So this is the key to figuring out what you're going to eat. A number of the same meals over and over again. A lot of people are going to have, the keto coffee with a couple of tablespoons of butter or heavy cream or whatever it is. Figure that in and just factor that in. So each one of mine has 22 grams of fat, and I had 2 of those today. If I'd known I was going to go so far over at lunch, I might not have had the second one. Figure out what all your different pieces of food are. Most of my when I make up pork, I do 2 slices, or when I do my bacon, it's 2 slices. It's pretty close to 70 grams. I might be off, gram here or there, but it's pretty close to that. The MCTs, I measure that out. Maybe I'll show you how we do that on the scale here in a little bit. Same thing with the spinach. In fact, this is one of the few things that I truly, between these 2, I measure those out to weight. And I'll probably measure out the steak tonight when I have that. But it is just that easy to hit your macros, and that's the important part, because that's what we want to do, is we want to hit your macros as close as possible. If you're, regardless of who you're coaching with, or if you're just doing it on your own, calories matter, and your macros matter. You want to have, and don't grab my macros and just start doing them on your own. This is something that we've been working on to dial me in, and I'll be honest, I've done macros a little bit higher than this, and they did not sustain me like the ones that I'm doing right now. Robert and I have been working on this, and we're getting good progress. But the point being is, you want to get your macros figured out as closely as possible, and this is going to be a big help. Just figure out what you had, maybe for meal 1, and then for meal 2, you got to say, oh, I can't have this much, or I can have that much, or I can do whatever needs to be done to figure out where you need to end up at the end of the day so you can hit your macros on the nose. If you got any questions, if you like this video, like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and if you need anything from me, apparently, you get to see, that's my email right there. And I will probably get inundated, and if I do, well, that's so be it. All right, thank you much, everyone. Have a great weekend and rest of your weekend, and we'll talk soon.